Hey, it's Anthony with Land Title. I came to bring your Greater Metro First to Know update. So let's dive right in. It's beginning of April here. We're looking at March data as it kind of fell through. And here's what we've got. We're seeing average sales prices about 1% above this time last year. We've seen a steady increase over the last couple of months. Pretty traditional seasonal behavior there. The median, it's a little off, 1.5% less than it was this time last year, right in line with the 2024 numbers, which is kind of interesting, but nothing to be concerned about in the single family home market. In the condo townhouse market, we had such a rough year last year that I think we might be seeing a little bit of a rebound, but it's really hard to tell so far, right? The last couple of months have been up and down. Here we are another month with kind of a very similar sort of trend. We're not anywhere near the 2024 numbers yet, but 2025 may be our low point, but it's hard to say yet. So we'll kind of keep tabs on that. It's still just nowhere near where we were even in 23 or 24. So we're kind of bouncing around a little lower than before. Now, if you look at a price per square foot, this tells a little bit of a secondary story to pricing. The single family home market, very similar, like I was talking about, to where we were last year. But the condo townhouse market is still showing cracks, right? 3.8% below where we were price per square foot wise, which means we're probably still in a little bit of a depressed market in the attached condo market. Now, it was very clearly not an affordable product anymore. And so it's got to come back into that vein in order for a lot of these to sell. So don't expect too much of a difference, but we're in a very settled environment right now. You can see it here. Look, supply is very similar to where we were a year ago. We're only just under 4% less. You're going to see a rise in inventory as we are into listing season. Only 5% less new listings come to market than we saw this time last year, but we were so far above the 2023 and 2024 numbers last year that this is still really, really good listing behavior, right? Lots of sellers coming to market. They're very excited. The issue we've got there is we had 5,700 listings, but only 4,600 under contracts, and the under contracts are way outpacing the best month of the year last year. So good news that, some of that interest rate talk and things really had gotten buyers fired up to get out in the marketplace. It'll be interesting to see that with the rise in interest rates, if that's going to continue. So we do have a great buyer pool, right? It's 4.4% above this time last year. It does appear that April will be, better than maybe a year ago, but it's hard to tell because interest rates are better than they were a year ago. But now we entered a war and we have all this other stuff happening in the market that definitely could play in. Month supply of inventory is at 2.7 instead of 2.8. So right where we were a year ago, but it will rise, right? It's just a matter of how fast, and hopefully we don't see what we saw last year. Now, market activity, this is 48 days in MLS. It's very similar behavior to what we saw a year ago. Trends down all the way into that May, June timeframe before it trends back up. And buyers are doing almost exactly what they were last year, 99.2% listed sale price. They're still paying pretty well top dollar as far as the actual list price, not the original list price. Also, we still are seeing quite a few concessions that isn't in that data. The last thing to look at is our showing traffic, and showing traffic does seem to be very similar to last year. So 6.8 showings per listing instead of 6.6, 15.2 showings to go under contract. So it's taking 4% longer to go under contract, but we have 3% more showings. So it feels the same out there as it probably did last year at this time. If you need other data or have other questions or concerns, you maybe need more micro market data, reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. If nothing else, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel to see more content. I'll see you soon.